What's up everybody, James Sutton here, aka MogulBound, and in this video I'm gonna explain the results that happened the first time I got real with myself in my life about 4 years ago, what I did, how I did it, and the results that happened. So about 4 years ago, I was actually living right over there. Living in this piece of shit house in a terrible shed. I lived in the shed. And it is a shithole. I mean, there's about 7 people living in a house that was designed for about 3 people to live in. I was living in a back shed that had been converted. My walls were brick with like this much space in between, with like plywood, like really thin, paper thin plywood with all these spiders and bugs and rats and mice living in my walls. My door had a gap about that big at the bottom of the door, so bugs and mice could run freely back and forth in and out of my room. I had one window. The window was about that big. The room was big, which was really nice, but the conditions were terrible. I had to go outside of the house and walk about 40-50 yards to get into the house so that I could use the bathroom. So anytime I wanted to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, I pretty much didn't. I was broke. I had just started an online business. I had a few friends, a few good friends, and no job, no income, very little savings, and more desire than I've ever had in my entire life to succeed. And at that time, I decided to get real with myself. And I had never gone through this process before. I was doing it for the first time. And I found, by the way, that's the Van Nuys Airport. Every about 5 minutes or less, there's a nice like G2 to G3, G4, G5 even sometimes landing. So my room, every about 10-15 minutes, just shaking and thundering, and you can hear the jets warming up right now. That's what I lived with. My bedroom was like 200 yards, 300 yards maybe, from the tip of the runway where they warm up and take off and where all these guys land. And at first that was a problem, but I turned it into a really good thing later on, and I'll explain that. So I found, I didn't find, but the universe brought together a colleague of mine that was in a very similar position. He was actually living back at his house. He was 42 years old at the time. He was living with his parents due to some hardship that he experienced. Take this in real quick. Man, that is a beautiful plane. So my buddy, he was living at home, working a sales job at a call center, selling penis pills. Yes, he was selling male enhancement. And he was making less than $1,000 a month doing that. And he was very unhappy. And I was very unhappy. And one day we discovered how unhappy and fed up we were together on the phone. And we decided right then and there that we were not going to put up with this shit anymore. And we were going to make a change in ourselves to get a different result in our life. And that change started with becoming accountability buddies. Every day we decided we were going to be on the phone, pumping each other up and giving nothing but positive energy, and helping each other to stay focused and accountable to fixing our shit in our lives. We both did different things and shared what we were doing, how we were doing it, and and the results that we were experiencing by doing it every single day on the phone. We outlined our goals in the beginning, and for me, my goals had to do with my physical appearance. That was not my primary goal, but that was one of the goals. My primary goals were the following. I'm looking down because I got notes. Financial stability and business success. I had never in my entire life had financial stability or business success. And one more. Man, I can't wait to have a jet, y'all. I can't wait to have a pilot license too. So financial stability and business success. And what I did was pretty ridiculous. I picked up the book called The Science of Getting Rich. I found audio formats of it and PDFs. And I began reading and listening to The Science of Getting Rich for probably about 5 to 6 hours a day. I was consuming the words that were being preached. And the words that are being preached in the beginning of that book, it's a short book. I highly suggest you read it. I made it kind of like a Bible for myself, for lack of better terms. I'm not a religious person, but I will say the way that people treat the Bible, I treated The Science of Getting Rich in a very similar fashion. I memorized it at one point. I even found it on binaural beats with like meditation music in the background on YouTube, and I was going to sleep with headphones on, listening to it, and then waking up and putting the audiobook on while I was working, and just working and working and working and working. I started saying no. I learned how to say no to everybody around me. Do you want to come out and hang out, James? No. Do you want to go party, James? No. Hey, do you want to just go do this thing? No, sorry, I'm working on stuff. I'm busy. No. I also listened to Abraham Hicks' workshop series. I had probably 400, 500 hours of workshop series videos at the time, and I consumed that as well. And the reason why I consumed that is because Abraham Hicks' workshop series, it's like a subconscious mind reprogramming session where things are brought up in a very question answer kind of way about life and how to manage your emotions and your thoughts so that you're not projecting things that are unwanted. So I just naturally became a ridiculously positive person while also forcing this these words of the science of getting rich, that I am destined to be rich. It was a kind of a religious book. They have words like, it is your God-given right to be rich, and if you are not rich, you cannot live the fullest life to all extents in the most abundant way possible. It also talks about that you cannot possibly be able to give back and help the people around you if you are not truly rich, because being rich allows you to have resources and abilities that you don't have without being rich. And it really just pounds into, or at least for me, it gave me, or rather it removed from me guilt, fear, and other negative things towards money coming into my life. And let's be real, most people have a lot of negative emotions and feelings towards money coming into their life and having money and what that would mean for them. So between Abraham Hicks' workshop series and The Science of Getting Rich, I would say 70% of my conscious days for about 110 days straight were spent listening and reading the material, reprogramming my mind, saying no to everybody, staying focused at work, working my ass off. I mean like 16, 17 hours a day, 6.5 days a week. I say 6.5 because that half day, I gave myself 1 half day a week to go grocery shopping, to go get the things I needed to keep working. And let me be real with you, I was living off of $20 a week for food. That's all I could afford. $20 a week for food. I would come out here to this farm every day, every morning and every afternoon, and I would do 1 to 2 laps around it while listening, and I would just see myself being successful. I would see myself being rich. I began to hallucinate a little bit. I began to see money just like floating around in my ether, and just, it was the most dedicated I had ever been to myself, to try to do more than I'd ever done to create change in my life. My friend did very similar things. He was very attracted to the Mulholland hikes up in the hills on the other side over in Hollywood. And he lived very close to there. So every morning he would wake up and he'd go there and he'd hike up there, and he would just feel the energy of the wealthy people around, feel what it would be like, and imagine waking up at a home so close that he could walk to the path. And he began to overlay that reality on top of the reality he was living, as much as I was overlaying the reality that I wanted. These planes, I mentioned I couldn't stand them at first, but then they became a great thing. Why did they become a great thing? Because I changed my negative feelings towards the terrible noise and the distraction that it caused to me owning the jets. And instead of getting mad at the sound, I began to become excited at the sound. As a kid, my dad used to take me to the Burbank airport right under the runway. And I loved to just experience the rumbling of the jets, and like see the monstrosity of like this thing flying over me and then landing behind me. It was just so amazing. So to bring back that childhood memory, and then to re-overlay the ability to make it a good thing that I was hearing it. I would get woken up to these jets, and I began to be so good at overlaying a negative circumstance with a positive visualization, that when I would begin to get woken up by these jets after a month or two of doing this, I literally was like, you could say hallucinating, but like visualizing unconsciously, because I'm still asleep, kind of waking up, that I was the pilot in the jet, and it was my jet, and I was landing it because I had made it in life, and that's what I want. That's ultimately what I want. I want to make it in life so big and so great that I own jets, that I have pilot licenses, that I fly wherever I want to fly, that I have whatever I want, that I get to become whoever I want to become, do and have all the things that I want to do and have. It is my absolute mission in life, and it started here. It started here by getting real with myself. So the results were tremendous. My friend's results, he went from, as I mentioned, living in his parents' house selling penis pills, to getting one of his jobs back as a construction sales rep and making about $10,000 to $15,000 a month within a 6-month time frame. For me, my results, within about 7 or 8 months, I had gone from this startup online business to becoming a web designer and making a full-time income as a web designer working for myself. And you fast forward now 4 years later, that web design company turned into a digital marketing agency, firm, whatever, company. We have 14 full-time employees. I have 2 other business partners. Last year we did over $500,000 in receivables, and that was our 3rd year as an actual company. We made it past the 3-year mark, and now I've opened up a 2nd company. I don't worry about money. My bills are paid. I haven't become homeless again. I haven't lost everything. I haven't Don't get me wrong, there has been ridiculous challenges and moments where I thought I was gonna lose everything again, but I stayed faithful to my beliefs and my visualization and my actions, and miraculously, everything has worked out ever since this time. So my question for you is really powerful right now. There's a quote in my book, my handbook, that says the price of your new life will be the cost of your current. So my question to you is, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to let go? What are you willing to say goodbye to if it meant that you could have your dream life? I want to hear it in the comments. And if you're not subscribed already, subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Here it comes. Here it comes. Man, I cannot wait to fly one of these things.